Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sacred She Soul Sessions. I am joined today by the beautiful Amy Turner. I connected with her recently, and I just knew I had to have her on to chat with all of you beautiful women. She is super knowledgeable, especially as a therapist in multiple areas that she's worked, and now as a life coach as well, which she'll tell you more about. But I was really intrigued about her different thoughts and tips and principles all around childhood beliefs and how they can really affect us into our adulthood and how that sometimes that can lead to self-sabotage. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So welcome, Amy. I am so excited to have you here. If you could maybe just tell everyone a little bit more about yourself and who you are and what you do.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me, Jenna. I am so excited for this. So my name is Amy Turner, and my company is No BS Therapy and Coaching. And there's two reasons of why I chose this name. And the first reason is I've been a therapist for 7 years. And as much as talk therapy just really helps to talk about the issues, it doesn't really get to the heart of the matter because we're always talking from our conscious mind, not from what's actually going on in the root. And so when I found the model that I used, it's called rapid transformational therapy. And when I found that model, I was like, yes, I don't have to do talk therapy anymore. I get to actually help people in the way that I want to by using its hypnosis and therapy together. And by using that, I'm able to find the root cause of people's issues within 1 to 3 months, which is incredible. Yeah, compared to therapy where people are just going for years and years sitting on the couch over and over again. And so the no BS is we get to the heart of the matter. We find out why you feel like you're not enough, you can't make money, whatever the limiting beliefs are. We find it out in that one session, and I coach you through it within 1 to 3 months. And so it's no BS in that sense. And the other reason why I named it No BS is because when I started doing some really deep personal growth work on me, I started calling BS on my stories I've been living, like the story that I'm not good enough and the story that I put other people on pedestals and say that they're better than me. And I started making YouTube videos just calling BS on my stories. And then it all kind of just intertwined. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I do is I help people call BS on their limiting beliefs because we are born incredible, adorable, amazing, lovable babies. And we knew that we were enough when we were born. So what happened to where we forgot that and we're struggling as adults?
I love that so much. That's so important too right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with your business and your clients and your programs, how do you integrate and what is your focus around childhood beliefs? And obviously it stems to this connection of going from worthy as babies to not worthy as adults for a lot of us.
Yeah. So all of our limitations, they come from our childhood. I'm a big believer in this. I believe that there is something that happened to all of us between the ages of 0 and 7 to where we had some need not get met. I mean, it can be as far as, and when we think about childhood wounds, we think about abuse. And it doesn't necessarily have to be abuse. It can just be you didn't get your need met. And so what it is it's either like one big traumatic event or a bunch of traumatic events together, or it's just a bunch of little tiny things that hurt us to where we bring it into this huge self-concept that it becomes our identity. And that's not who we were born to be. We weren't born to be these people who didn't think that we were enough and that we had to just go searching and just feel bad about ourselves all the time.
That's so powerful. And I love that you say, too, that for a lot of people, they think it has to be something traumatic. I know for myself, because only very recently have I really been kind of exploring childhood beliefs and how maybe this has affected some of the things that I'm going through today as a woman. And I've realized that I always associated that in order to have childhood stuff that was affecting me, that it meant that I must have had to have something really traumatic happen. And when I look back at my childhood, unless I've blocked it out, I really don't have anything that's like super traumatic, like super major abuse or anything like that. But on a different scale, now that I've started reflecting more, is lots of like little to medium sized things that have really affected my self worth and really who I am today and how I identify myself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's where I love teaching this, because that's where I came from too. Like, I didn't have, from my memory, I didn't have this abusive childhood. And my therapist worked with me for 5 years, and bless her heart, because I was a very difficult client, because she had to keep telling me, Amy, there were some things that weren't perfect about your parents. Yes, you had a good childhood. You got what you wanted. You got money spent on you, but that doesn't mean that you didn't get affected. And through working with her, I realized that, okay, yeah, I wasn't abused, but my parents were pretty neglectful. I mean, my dad was kind of that shadowy figure that lurked in the background. And every once in a while, he'd acknowledge me. Or the only time he'd really acknowledge me is when he would buy me things. And that's the only way that he could show me his love. He didn't know how to be affectionate. He didn't know how to say, I love you. And so us as little girls, because this is a women's group, as little girls, we make it mean that there's something wrong with us because our dad isn't affectionate or doesn't say he loves us. Same with our parents. And so the thing is, whatever the issues are that our parents have, if they haven't dealt with it, then it comes back on us. And then we as little kids think there's something wrong with us, that our parents aren't giving us what we need. And so working with my therapist, she helped me realize that. And she helped me realize in a big way that the relationships that I was attracting were like my dad. They were guys who didn't want to know who I was at all, who didn't respect me. And until I was able to get clear about, oh my gosh, I'm attracting people into my life like my dad, because I'm a big believer that we are always attracting people in our life to re-wound us so we can work on our wounds.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I really resonate with what you said too around your father. And I know everyone has a different set of parents, but I feel like that's a really common thing where I think more so with fathers, but I'm sure it happens with mothers as well, but where they don't know how to maybe show that emotion and share that love. And I know for my dad, I know he loves me and he worked out of town, but that was his way of showing me affection as well, was coming home after being gone for a month or two, giving me a pat on the head and giving me some money to go and get something new, which, you know, as a kid, I'm like, ooh, this is cool. I'm getting a little bit spoiled, because even though I wasn't always spoiled in that moment, I felt like, wow, he's showering me with his attention. But then when he's not there, it definitely increased my issues around what I valued money as, and if I was feeling valued as a child. Like, it was for sure creating some wounds. And I feel like there's other parents out there that have done that, and whether it's money or not, they're probably sharing their affection in a way that maybe as a child that we aren't quite relating to or understanding.
Yeah, exactly. And, another thing I had to realize too is because, like, oh, I get it. My dad bought my love. That's all he knew how to do. But my mom was great. And then, of course, I had to work on that with my therapist too. And I realized that with my mom, it was this like give and take. So she gave me love when she needed love, not necessarily when I needed love. And so it's kind of this like enmeshment thing where she's just like, Amy, you can't leave me, but go. It's been both of that. And so I very much, and I'm not saying that's how everyone's parents are. I'm just relating from my perspective. But just working with people through the years, it doesn't necessarily mean that you had to have some kind of abuse or trauma for you to feel like you're not enough for whatever happened in the childhood.
I like the way you break that down. So for the women that are watching, whether they've had something traumatic or not, where would you suggest, like, if you have a brand new client come to you and they want to do some work on their childhood and maybe reflect a little bit and see if it is affecting them having self-sabotaging behaviors, where would you suggest that they start? Because I know for me, I feel like I've almost blocked out a lot of my childhood, not necessarily because it's traumatic, but I almost struggle to even know where to begin.
That's a great question, because it's hard if you block it out Just like when I found my therapist, my childhood is great. I'm only here because I can't figure out why I can't find a relationship. And she's like, oh, Amy, okay, here we go. So it was a lot of work. She worked with me intensely for 5 years to get me to cry again because I shut down my tears and was so proud of that. And so I guess the way that you would start is start delving into books about childhood wounds. One of my favorite authors is Dr. Harville Hendrix. And his quote is, "Until you've done the healing of your childhood dysfunction, you will continually recreate it in your adult life."
That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a good one. I know when I heard that quote, it changed my whole life, because that's the whole thing of we attract people that re-wound us so we can work on our issues, because God, the universe, energy, source, whatever you believe in, it wants us to be happy and healthy and lovable and successful and all of that. But in order for us to get there, we have to work through the wounds that we have. And so we're going to attract people that do that. So to answer your question, I would say the first thing is just to delve in books about that. If people want to work on me, I mean, through hypnosis, or work with me through hypnosis, we can find the root cause of the issue, like immediately. Like I'll share, there was one client that saw me for his money blocks. And during the session, one of the memories that came up that he completely forgot about, by the way, was when he was 5 or 6 years old. And the memory was that his mom told him, she was dating 2 men, and his mom told him that he had to choose which one is going to be his new dad.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Can you imagine 5 years old having to make a huge decision like who your dad is going to be? So during that memory, he chose someone, and it ended up not being a good fit. The guy was abusive and awful to them. And so he bought into the belief that I don't make the right decisions. And that belief followed him throughout his whole entire adult life. And that's why he saw me for his money blocks, is because he couldn't make money because he had that belief that I don't make the right decisions. And so it stopped him from making money, from making any kind of decision, because he bought into that childhood belief. And now, after he worked with me, he works for John Azaroff, which is like the money guru.
Yeah. So would you say that people that come to you, or just from what you've seen so far, that people generally can identify where they're self-sabotaging? Because I feel like a lot of people are self-sabotaging. I think we all do in some way or another. But do you think people tend to be aware that they're self-sabotaging, or is it more so just that they don't know how to stop?
I think it's more that they don't know how to stop. I think, like, on the surface level, we know, oh yeah, I'm sabotaging my career. Oh, I know, like, I'm supposed to go speak, but I'm scared, and so I'm getting, like, forcing myself to get sick. You know, there's like little things that show up where we sabotage relationships. We can sabotage anything. And I don't think people are actually completely clear on where it comes from. That's why it's awesome to do the session to actually find the root cause. But the thing is, what sabotage is it's being scared to jump out of our comfort zone. So
that was going to be kind of my next question, is like, how would you identify self-sabotage?
Yeah, it's all about our comfort zone. So our mind loves to be in our comfort zone. Our mind loves what is familiar. I mean, a lot of us, we wake up and we have the exact same daily routine. We sleep on the same side of the bed. We get up around the same time. We brush our teeth with the same hand. Like, our mind loves what is familiar. And our mind is always wanting to protect us. And so when we're doing something out of our comfort zone, when we're going towards that promotion, when we are wanting to have that relationship, our mind will be like, no, wait, you don't want this. This is uncomfortable. We don't know what we're supposed to do. This is unknown. This is scary. No, I need to protect you. And so that's where the sabotage comes in, is because our mind is always wanting to protect us, and it kind of brings us back into the fear and the sabotage.
Totally. So when someone comes to you and they're thinking that maybe they're self-sabotaging and they want to overcome this and maybe start breaking free of that and getting more into their uncomfort zone, So you definitely said diving into books if they're in the beginning stages. What are some other things that you have clients work with? Like, do you do journaling? Do you have them do any other kind of activities to help them get a little bit deeper into those things, maybe once you've identified that childhood issue or block?
Yeah. I have 3 mind hacks that I can share with everyone.
Okay. Awesome.
And the first one is our mind is always learning from the pictures that we see and the words we say to ourselves. So everyone, and for you too, Jenna, I want you guys do not think of a yellow bunny on purple grass with a green umbrella. Don't think of it. So what did you think of?
Exactly what you just said.
Exactly. And some of you might change the colors around. You're like, oh, I'm not supposed to think of it, but you're still going to see the bunny, you're still going to see the grass, and you're still going to see the umbrella. And so the thing is we have to start to control our mind. And so our mind always learns in pictures and the words that we say to ourselves. So even though I told you don't say this, don't think of this, your mind doesn't know the word don't. It only sees the pictures. So everyone saw the bunny, the grass, and the umbrella. So to move you forward, I'm going to say, don't think about what you don't want to think about, right? So
right.
if you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much lack, I'm feeling empty, I'm feeling depressed, change it into the positive, change it into how you want to feel, instead of saying, don't feel like this, like anxiety, right? I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be anxious. What are you going to be?
That's so powerful. I love that. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be inspired.
Exactly. Yeah, because if you keep saying the word anxious, of course you're going to be anxious. And so if you change it to, like you said, positive, inspired, then you're not concentrating on the anxiety and you're concentrating on what you want. And so that's just something really important that everyone can just start doing right now, is really pay attention to your language and the pictures that you're making. And if it's something that you don't want in your life, change it. We have that control. And let's see, what's the second one? Oh, this one's a fun one. So our mind always wants us to protect us and always wants us to have what we want, right? So if we're saying, I want to lose my 20 pounds. I want to, I'm depressed. I don't, anything with my in it. So for example, I want to lose my 20 pounds. Your mind doesn't want you to lose it because you're taking ownership. You're saying my. So never say my if it's something you want to get rid of. Change it. I want to lose the 20 pounds.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's all about controlling your mind and realizing we have so much more power over our mind than we think. A lot of us, we let our mind rule us with the self-sabotage, with the I'm not enough thoughts, with whatever those limitations are. And instead, when we actually take control of our mind, things change. And the last one is fake it till you make it. Tell your mind, I love this. I'm choosing this. Choosing it is a big one because our mind wants to protect us, right? So if you're telling it, I'm not fearful, I want to do this, I'm choosing it, then eventually your mind is going to follow and it's going to be, okay, you're choosing to do this. Let's do it. And so then we actually feel empowered to have what we want because we are taking over that sabotaging mind that wants to protect us.
I love that because I think underlyingly we all do have that sense of wanting to control, like controlling the outcome, controlling ourselves, and often we feel like we don't have control, or at least I know that's how I felt before. So it's very empowering to feel like you're able to make a choice and make a choice in the present of making that choice of how are you going to choose to feel and what are you going to choose to think about.
Yes. Yeah, it's so powerful to just change the words instead of putting out there what I don't want. I'm scared of looking at my bank account. Like, no, I'm excited looking at my bank account and see what you want. Visualize what you want. Visualization is huge. And I know you're doing your manifestation challenge right now. So, like visualization is so huge because we can't change our emotion with logic. We can change our emotion with a bigger emotion.
I love that so much. And this is something I do with my clients too. And I've seen that you're doing this in your group, which is having a letter to money. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you do your style of that and what you're doing with that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to look at yours. I didn't know you were doing that either. I'd love to see it. So, yeah, people are getting crazy, crazy results. I had one client, or not even client, she's just in the group, have her 2 highest income earning days after writing this letter and getting the insight. And so what I'm having everyone in my group do is we're thinking of money like it's your relationship. Like you're dating it, it's your partner, it's your spouse, it's your lover. And so I want you to think of money as, if money were your lover, would it want to have sex with you? Now think about that. Would money want to have sex with you? How have you been treating it? Would it want to go to bed with you? Would it want to be intimate with you? Have you been giving it like anxiety or lack or fear? I mean, I don't know about you. I don't want to go to bed with someone who's super anxious and fearful. I want to be with someone who's like powerful and happy and loving. And so just this little like mind shift about how you're treating money can completely change your attitude about money.
That it's so powerful, and I can speak to that because I know for myself, as I've been on my money journey and changing how I think about money, how I talk to money, and really recognizing it as an energetic force and less about just money like bills in the wallet. It's been a total shift and a total game changer, changing that relationship to money. And I think it's so powerful for people. It's the same as going back into those childhood beliefs and figuring out what kind of blocks are we having? Like, where is the disconnect and how are we self-sabotaging? I feel like money is one of those areas worth exploring for sure for every single person, because almost everyone has something where they're not having a very good relationship with money, how they're speaking about it, how they're spending it, like what their mindset is. So I feel like that's such a powerful exercise.
Yeah, it's incredible what's happening in the group because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that there's been lots of comments going on. So thank you so much, everyone. If you guys have questions too for Amy, pop them in the comments and we'll answer those right away as well. But I see everyone on here saying that they're loving the conversation of what we're talking about. And it sounds like people are able to relate around, maybe how their parents were treating them when they were kids, and not even mistreating them, but just treating them, and what were those behaviors and how has that shaped who you are today. And I'm curious as well for you, Amy, with your people that you've been talking to now, and they've identified that they're self-sabotaging, maybe there's some childhood blocks. What kind of shifts are you seeing happen for them as they start to work through those and let that go? Like, what is the benefit really of moving into that uncomfort zone and letting go of feeling safe?
Oh my gosh, it's incredible, because here's the thing is, like, when we have these limitations, when we feel like we're not enough, I mean, that's the core of it. Whatever the money, the weight, the relationships, the core of it is, and we feel like we're not enough. And so we make that our identity. And when I'm working with people and they actually have memories of when they created that belief, they're so empowered because they realize, oh, I wasn't born like this. This isn't who I am. This is not me. I adopted this. And a lot of the times, one thing I work really deeply with my clients on too is a lot of times we are carrying our parents' shame or other people's shame. Yeah. And so and it might not even be ours, but we're carrying it because that's what we learned. And so as we work through it, and what I do in my sessions too is I like energetically remove the shame out of their body and have them actually like give it back to their parents so they don't have to carry it anymore. And it's just incredible to see how powerful people know that they are, because that's the thing, we're born as lovable, powerful babies, but whatever happens, we forget it. And so when they actually find the root cause and they realize, oh, I had to create this to protect myself for whatever reason, that is exactly why that they did it. And they know that's not who they are. That's just what they had to create. And now as an adult, I don't need to carry that story anymore. It's not mine. It's not serving me anymore. It served me in the past and I'm thankful for it, but I don't need to carry it anymore. Instead, I want to create a new story.
I love that you said that too, that it served me in the past, because I think often or this attachment to not letting go of something, like a belief or relationship, whatever it is, and maybe just acknowledging the fact that maybe it once did serve us and it is no longer. So something negative could have once been serving you. Like maybe, I know for myself, being in an unhealthy relationship, at the time it was serving me as I worked through my own reflection of my self-worth and those lessons. Like it really helped me to eventually see that I needed to step out of that. So I think sometimes we get attached to holding on to these beliefs that maybe aren't even ours to begin with, but we don't want to let them go even though they're no longer serving us. So I think that's powerful to just address the fact maybe it did once serve you, and it's okay to acknowledge that no longer is it serving you anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so powerful to know and to acknowledge, exactly like you said, acknowledge, okay, thank you for helping me. But I always tell my clients, because they're adults, and so I'm a 53-year-old woman now. I'm a 25-year-old man now. I don't need you. I am powerful. I'm ready to go create my own story.
Yeah, and that is so, so powerful. And I think that's empowering for people to take ownership. And like you said, it's like it's no bullshit. It's not the surface level stuff. It's getting deep into that. Oh, and Lisa here I see is asking, can you speak on what you write in your letter to money? So maybe Amy, if you want to talk a little bit about how you do yours would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, you write the letter to money. So it's almost like an apology, or, wow, money, I'm so sorry. I've been so anxious around you. Wow, money, I'm so sorry. I've been fearful. And for me, when I first did this, I realized that I had like a push and pull relationship with money. I was very much like needy to get it. But then when I got it, it was like I didn't feel like I deserved it. And so it was just this like straight push and pull. And so for me to realize that, I'm like, oh my God, no wonder why you don't want to show up in my life. I mean, who wants to be with who wants to date someone, who wants to have sex with someone who's like, oh, come to me, no, go away, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, so that's what you do, is you write the letter to money as if you're writing a love letter to it. And I've had people that are like, well, I love money. I'm like, cool, write a grateful letter. Tell it how you're so happy for it. But a lot of us, we have that anxiety, that fear, this sadness. So it really helps to write that love letter.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for myself, I had definitely a block around money of kind of a push and pull thing as well, where I was really desiring more, but I couldn't keep it. So as soon as I had it, it was like burning a hole in my wallet a few years ago, where as soon as I had it and I was having all these other self-worth issues, to me, I was using money to then go and spend, and really had a shopping addiction where I just wanted to go and purchase things and get rid of the money. Like I literally could not energetically be on the vibration of having more money. And I think sometimes we don't realize that maybe we don't need more money or we're not ready for more money. So I think these letters are really powerful so we can recognize our own patterns of how we've been treating money, so then we know how we would like to shift it. Oh, and
Exactly.
Kelly is saying, if I purposely forget to look at my finances because I'm afraid of how much is there, is that a mirror of how our friends treat us?
That's a good question. So if I purposely forget to look at my finances. Oh, okay. So you're saying like, and right, Kelly, let me make sure I'm understanding the question. So you're asking if you're like forgetting to, are you treating your friends in the way that you're treating your bank account? Is that what you're asking?
I think so. Yeah, we'll let Kelly confirm, but I
Yeah.
think that's what she's saying.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a good point, because it's like, well, the way we're treating money, isn't that the way we're treating other relationships in our life? So one other thing is, a woman in my Facebook group that did this money letter and just opened her eyes to everything. She's like, oh my gosh, this is how I'm treating my weight. This is how I'm treating my body. I never thought about this. Money is my friend. My body is my friend. And so she changed her whole entire mindset into thinking, how do I treat my friends, and how do I want to treat the things around me like my friends? And so for the bank account, yeah, if you have a good relationship with your friends, then treat your bank account like your friends.
Absolutely. And I think in regards to purposely forgetting to look at your bank account. I feel like that's a very common thing amongst people where you kind of try to pretend it's not there out of fear of, maybe your account's gone in overdraft, or you're going to look at it and feel a sense of lack. So I definitely don't think you're alone there, Kelly, on purposely forgetting to look at your finances, because that might be one of those blocks that you could address if you are to write a letter to money.
Definitely. Yeah, I hope that answered her question.
So yeah, Kelly, if you have more questions on that, just pop it in the comments here and we'll come back to that in a sec. And I wanted to hit on that, Amy, as well. Just can you tell us more before we wrap this up about your group and where people can best connect with you and find you and stay in touch?
Yeah, so if you guys want to talk with me on the phone to find out more about how I work with people individually for the RTT session, it's a 2-hour session, so we go deep into the childhood and find the root cause. If you want to do that, you can go to nobstherapy.com and just send me a little note, and then we can set up a conversation. And if you want to join my group, just search for No More BS Beliefs. And I think we can probably put that in the comment later, right?
I'll tag it up for you for sure. And I saw Kelly commented, and I think we answered her question, but she said that she's scared that it won't be there if she looks in her account. Like, she's scared that there won't be any money there.
Yeah, so the thing is because so Kelly, you have to, and like I said, fake it till you make it. You have to just change that fear into excitement and just look at the bank account and just like feel the excitement of what you do have. Be grateful of what is in there.
Absolutely. And I find for me too, by checking in and seeing where I'm at, number one, then I can start budgeting and really being mindful of where my money is going. Because before I would check my bank account, sometimes I'd forget to. But then also I wasn't really aware of where my spending was going. So it by checking it regular, it makes you be more conscious as well, I think. And I see Lisa's asking, do you go international?
Yeah, I do sessions over Zoom all the time. I have clients all over the world. If you are in San Diego, I have an office. I've had people drive to me from LA and Orange County, but I do sessions with people all over the world.
Awesome. I love it. Well, if no one has any more questions, I think that was just a lot of amazing information for everyone to digest and start thinking a little bit more about how your childhood is potentially creating some self-sabotaging patterns and beliefs right now in your adulthood, and also a lot to think about your money relationship as well, and how you can maybe start to shift that and maybe identify your patterns by writing a little bit of a love letter to money as well. Yeah, so I will leave it at that if no one else has any other questions. And I really, really want to thank you so much for coming on today, Amy, because that was hugely powerful.
Good, thank you. I'm so glad you guys got value. And if you want, I'll be popping in comments, answering questions if you guys have them later, or message me on Facebook, add me. I'm so excited to be part of this sisterhood. So thank you.
Yeah, we are so excited to have you here and be on one of our weekly wisdom offerings where we can share some value amongst each other, because that's really what it is all about, is empowering each other and sharing some of this knowledge that we've come into contact with amongst each other so that we can continue to learn on our journeys and continue to rise up, because that, I think, is what it is all about. So we'll definitely tag up all of your stuff too, Amy. So if anyone feels called to get in touch with you, we'll link up your Facebook group if anyone wants to be a part of that and learn a little bit more about the letters to money and what you have going on in your community and on your website and all of that as well.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for everyone that joined us, and hi to everyone catching the replay as well, because I know there's always some catching this a little later, so still feel free to comment, and Amy's in our group, so both of us will try to keep track of comments if you tag us in there afterwards if you're catching this, if you have a particular question. And yeah, we'll call it good at that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amy. Thank you everyone for joining us. Have an awesome night.